As a beekeeper, performing live bee removals can be a great resource for an extra income. But before you jump right into it, there's some things you need to know. You need to have knowledge, experience, and a lot of tools. We're going to go over the tools aspect in this video coming up right now. Hey guys, Kyle here with Hornbaker Acres. We're a small beekeeping operation in Buckeye, Arizona. We utilize our channel to further educate people on the various aspects and methods of beekeeping. And when we can, we take you along with us for our live bee rescues. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss our future videos. And while you're here, you might as well check out some of the videos that we've already done. On today's video, we're going to discuss all the tools and equipment that you may need to perform live bee rescues. There's a lot of them to cover, so we're going to jump right into it. Alright guys, here we are. This is my typical equipment loadout for every time that I'm going to do a cutout removal. Obviously, if it's just a swarm call, I bring a lot less equipment. But if I'm going to have to open up a structure to access the bees inside, then this is typically what I bring with me every single time. As you can see, there's a lot of equipment here. So we're going to jump right into it and kind of explain each piece as we go. So to start off, to locate the bees, there's some various tools that you may want to use that may be beneficial to you to use. First thing you're going to want to look at is this, a FLIR. So bees, when they have a colony inside of a structure like a wall or underneath a shed, they actually put off a heat signature. And by using this FLIR camera, it's easier for me to find out specifically where a bee colony is. Now with being in Arizona, and it being so darn hot in the summer, I've noticed that my FLIR camera just doesn't pick up much of a heat signature during the summer. But if I have a removal in the wintertime, this works great. I'm going to have links to most of these items in my description, so look below if you're looking for further details on the item. Right here is a borescope. I'm sure you know what that is. It's a digital borescope. This camera extends out on a long line, if you want to call it that. I think this one's about 3 feet long. But it's used, you can drill a hole in a wall and use the borescope to try and find out exactly where and how the colony is inside of a structure. Surprisingly enough, a stethoscope is another great tool for locating the bees. You can listen to walls and you can hear the buzzing, and wherever the buzzing is loudest is typically where the bees are located. Now once you have located the bees in the structure, obviously you're going to need to access them. So one of the tools I use, mostly just on drywall, is this Dremel Multimax. It comes with a lot of different blades, but what I like about it is it doesn't create much of a mess. Not a lot of debris, dust, sawdust if you want to call it that. Also, it's very precise. I can go right up to an edge with this and not worry about overcutting like you would with a circular saw. And then that brings us next, we'll need a circular saw. That's pretty self-explanatory. A jigsaw is another good one for those tight corners. More cutting tools include the reciprocating saw, or also known as a sawzall. Then up here we have a cutoff wheel. You never know when you're going to have to cut into block concrete or cut through metal. It's just a great tool to have with all the variable wheels with it. You may need a drill with various bits, either to disassemble screwed together pieces or to drill access holes to look inside there with your borescope to see where the colony is at. Lots of various hand tools that are handy. You're going to need lots of different styles of scrapers, knives to remove the comb. I mostly use this style, you know, the spatula, whatever you want to call it, style knife, putty knife, I'm sorry, to do most of my comb cutting, as you can tell by how dirty it is. But a long carving knife like this works pretty well too. This knife I don't actually use for the comb. It's just another drywall knife basically. If it's a really tight fit and I can't get into the area where I need to cut, this drywall knife works pretty well. I utilize carpenter's square and yardstick and a carpenter's pencil to make my marks before I make my cuts. Pry bar. Seems like every removal I need a pry bar for something, to pry pieces apart, or even just to get the board pried off because the comb is so heavy. Obviously you're going to need lots of variable length extension cords. I have just this hub here, all sorts of different connection ports. You'll need probably a staple gun at some point. I don't have any with me right now, but there's some times we're gonna have to do kind of like a trap out or a forced abscond, where you create a hardware cloth mesh cone to perform a trap out. There's lots of videos on it, but one of the tools that you'll need for that is this staple gun. Obviously, you'll want a ladder, just depending on the height of your removal. There's some times where you may have to remove bees from a ceiling, and it's easier to access them actually from the ceiling than it is from above the ceiling. Good set of lights. You never know how long a removal will take you. It may take you into the night. So this section over here is how I keep my client's home clean if I have to do a removal from the inside of the house. There's lots of plastic drop cloth like painters use. Plus there's a roll of that brown paper. I've got trash bags for various debris that I need to take care of. And then I've got a table here. Also, a bee vac is very handy. So I'm going to do a whole separate video on this bee vac, but the basic premise of it, if you've not seen a bee vac before, is that this vacuum actually sucks the bees up in a safe manner, preventing them from being killed, hopefully, into, as you can see right here, a hive body. That way they're already on frames when they're being sucked into there, so that way they can crawl up the frames and not be overcrowded and overheat. But again, I'm going to go over the bee vac in great detail in the near future. So as you can see, guys, a lot of various tools, and this is just what I use. I know some guys who use far many more tools than I do on their removals. It just kind of, I guess, depends on what exactly type of removal that you're doing. So, all right, guys, so there you have it. I know this is a short video, but I intended it to be a short video. I just want to quickly go over some of the tools involved with doing live bee removals. As you can see from what the overview that you saw, there's a lot of tools required. And again, that's one of the reasons why beekeepers charge for removals, is because of the equipment required to perform the removal, plus their knowledge, their experience, and their time. And it's a great risk when you're performing a removal on whether or not the bees are even going to survive or stay in the equipment that you provide for them. So the beekeeper takes on a lot of great risk, so that's why beekeepers charge for removals. So again, I'm going to have links in the description listing a lot of these tools out and showing exactly what I'm using. But the list goes on. I mean, seriously, guys, this is a small load of tools compared to what some guys use for their removals. Although I use more tools than some people. But as I always say, guys, I truly appreciate the love, support, kindness. While you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that little notification bell so that way you're notified when I post a new video. I'm trying to do videos every single week, releasing them at Thursday at 6 in the morning Mountain Standard Time. So look for my videos then. God bless and happy beekeeping.